I'm the VP of Product, Small Builder ERP Solutions at Hyphen Solutions. And we're excited today to take you through a quick overview of BuilderGM, our latest product offering from Hyphen Solutions. And with me today, I also have Mary Grace McGregor, Account Executive. She'll be taking you through an overview and highlighting some of the features in an actual online live demo. She's also the person, and our account executives are the type of people that will take you through an evaluation to see if BuilderGM is a good fit for you, help you identify where BuilderGM can help you in improving your business and identify the benefits that you can derive from BuilderGM. We also have with us today Zach Olson. He's our implementation team manager, and he manages the team of implementers that will help you get your BuilderGM product up and running quickly and easily so that you can immediately start to recognize and realize the benefits that come from this awesome tool. Again, my name is Mark Bradshaw. I've been involved in construction for pretty much my entire life. I started apprenticing with my grandfather, who was a master craftsman, and have been involved in different aspects of construction for many years. I also have spent about 40 years doing business process improvement and designing systems and applications to bring technology to the table to help businesses improve their processes. Spent the last several years designing, developing, and implementing the BuilderGM product. So I'm excited today to have the opportunity to show you all of what we have available for you here. So a little bit about Hyphen Solutions. Who are we? Well, it was founded in 1999, and Hyphen Solutions built and currently operates the Build Pro application. It's the most widely used SaaS software as a service application among North American home builders.
Hey, Mark, you want to make sure that you are sharing your screen for the audience because nobody can see it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was sharing.
Perfect. We can see it now. Go ahead.
So I was just going through here, mentioning that it's a powerful and intuitive tool built by builders for builders to work the way that you work. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Hyphen Solutions. Who are we? Founded in 1999, as I said, Build Pro, and used by a large number of contractors. In fact, 21 of the top 26 builders in North America and over 700 home builder divisions rely on our solutions. And there's over 15,000 suppliers, trade contractors that rely on some of the Supply Pro GM, and wallet applications. Until recently, Hyphen Solution products have been geared towards the mid-size and larger production builders. Now, BuilderGM is a comprehensive solution for small to medium-sized builders, custom home builders, remodelers, trade contractors. And so it really is the perfect all-in-one tool to help you streamline and simplify your construction business. So let's introduce you to the product. We'll get into some real details in just a few minutes, but I wanted to talk a little bit for a minute about the what I call the 4 C's of construction: collaboration, communication, coordination, and control. So as a general contractor, you have to deal with all kinds of processes within your own environment. You're familiar with these, and you're familiar with the challenges that it creates to balance all of these things. especially when you multiply that by several projects. But in addition to that, you have to deal with a lot of external entities that are partners in your product development. In the process of building, you have to involve all of these other entities, again, making it a complex process to keep the collaboration, communication, coordination, and control intact. And so BuilderGM is the tool that takes that for your internal team and makes all of that work together to manage those 4 C's. But not only that, it allows you to coordinate, communicate with your external entities as you try and bring all of these different aspects together to create a masterpiece. With BuilderGM, we have a lot of automated functionality, from which you'll derive some significant benefits. There's a real significant return on investment, not only in the cost of your subscription to BuilderGM, but the effort that it takes to implement and use the product. It's all geared towards a great return on investment in doing that. We've got project management features for estimating and bidding and scheduling. And as you estimate a project, all that information feeds from your estimate into the bidding process, the scheduling process, and all of these other processes to manage your documents, budget to actual analysis, income and expense tracking, activity analysis, and tracking payables, revenue cycles, and all of this integrates with QuickBooks in a seamless integration. Now, if you have any questions, post those in the chat and we'll get to those at the end of the presentation. So I want to talk a little bit about those benefits, what I call more or less. So with BuilderGM, you can have more sales and more projects. It's a great sales tool. So with less effort, less work, and less cost. You'll have more on-time, on-budget projects with less hassle, less headaches, less confrontation. More efficient, more organized, more thorough, and less chance of dealing with amnesia, less chance of disputes or litigation, and more profit, more free time, so less stress and a better bottom line. And what more can you ask for? With BuilderGM, you can automate your workflow, stay ahead of your projects, know your costs, communicate with your team, keep your accounting current and accurate, bid work with ease, and manage all your documents. And that's exactly what we're going to show you now. So I'd like to turn the time over to Mary Grace and have her take you through a live presentation of the tool, explain a lot of the features. We won't have time to touch on everything in this presentation, but an overview and a highlight of some of the significant features of BuilderGM. Mary Grace?
All righty, can everyone hear me okay?
We can hear you.
You can, all right, awesome. Give me 1 second here. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, all right, let's get on to the fun stuff. All right, so thank you so much, Mark, for the introduction. Just as he said, any questions that you guys may have, feel free to throw them into the chat. We'll definitely take our time in addressing all of those at the end here. But again, just as Mark said, what this system is really designed for is to give you as builders a full 360-degree scope of your entire business, but also your entire workflow process. We want you to have the visibility to make good financial decisions and really drive your business forward. Now, logging into the system, as you can see, this will bring me directly to a list of all of the active jobs that I have within my system at that time. Now we have our job names, customer names, the contract date, of course, the job status. Now you're able to toggle between job statuses just depending on if the job is within the estimate, of course, an active job. If there's a holdup in the supply chain, you're able to put that job on hold at any time, of course. Now we can mark that job as closed, as well as any alerts associated with that job. So really just anything that you need to be notified of when you first log into the system. Clicking within any one of these jobs will bring me to the job information page. Now this is just a very quick overview of all of the information that I need to be able to grasp what's going on with this job. Of course, I have the job address description, contact information, job schedule information, any financial information that I need to be up to date with for that day, as well as any alerts. Now, obviously this is a demo account, so I may have way more alerts than you guys would be seeing, but these alerts could be anything from a change order request that's come in, any unpaid bills or bills that are ready to be sent over to QuickBooks. Clicking within any of these alerts will bring me straight to the page to actually either rectify that issue or respond in real time. If I click here, we saw that I clicked on the alert associated with change orders. I had a change order coming in that's pending approval. Clicking within that, I can quickly approve that, hit save here. And again, with a click of a button, it's taking me straight to the information I need to be able to rectify that issue. So we saw that alert, of course, went away there. Now, for today's purposes, first we're going to go over the navigation of the system, make sure that you guys understand just how intuitive it is to actually use. From there, we're going to walk through, I think, what would be the best use of our time, which is actually going through and adding a job. Now, in terms of the navigation here, as you can see, we have these 7 tabs across the top. For today's purposes, we're primarily going to stay within the job manager. This is really where most of our builders are spending about 90% of their time. This here is where you're going to be doing your estimates, of course, sending out, receiving vendor bids, tracking expenses, budgeting, everything of the sort. Anything that you're entering into the customer, vendor, and employees tab is really what's going to allow you to leverage the job manager to its fullest extent. So this is going to be contact information, vendor licenses, insurance, employee information, time tracking, everything of the sort. So again, you're able to coordinate and communicate with these individuals from within the system itself. You don't have to be leaving to be sending emails, texts, whatever it may be. You're able to communicate all of that information from within the job manager. As we said, the job manager, again, is where you're actually going to be going in and creating estimates, which we'll get to here in a second. But again, what you'll see is that the system itself is completely template-based. So based on the type of work that you're doing, whether it's custom, semi-custom, spec homes, we're able to customize the system to your workflow process and the information that you'll be needing to pull. Now, before we dive into actually creating a job, I think it's important to get an understanding of exactly where these templates are coming from. I'll come over here to the company tab. If we dive into templates here, I'll just go to template list. As you can see, we have about 10 templates built out within the system right now. Most of our builders only have about 1 or 2, again, just depending on the type of work that you're doing. These templates are going to be the heart and soul of BuilderGM. So this is where you are getting a very, very accurate cost estimate built out really within an hour or so to be sending out to your, not only your internal employees, but again, be able to communicate that with your clients as well. Now, as you'll notice, there's really going to be 3 levels to the template. The first level here is going to be our category level. So this is spelling out everything from our initial planning and design all the way through our final inspection. Now within those categories, the categories again being planning and design, permits, fees, bonds, temp facilities, falling within those categories is going to be our subcategory level. So this is a much more granular view of everything that goes in to that initial category. Clicking within architect is going to bring me to the 3rd level of the system here. So as you can see, the 3rd level is going to be broken out into 4 different elements. Now the first element is going to be our cost item level. So these cost items, as you'll see when we actually go through and create this job, this is where we're going to get that very accurate estimate, and it'll be a standardized process. So again, it's automating a lot of that information that's going to be pushed through not only to our schedule, also to the purchase order process, the vendor bidding process, all the way through to billing. So it's automating all of that information and reducing all of that duplicate data entry along the way. One really unique thing that you'll see when we actually go in and create that job is that BuilderGM is smart enough to actually tie those cost items to task items behind the scenes. So as soon as I come through and actually turn on that I'll need an architecture cost item, that not only is going to be added to my schedule, but any tasks that are associated with that cost item are building out my schedule on my behalf. So this is all going to be based on preset durations. We'll work along with you just based on your standard schedule to build out exactly when that information needs to be falling within your schedule, who it's going to be assigned to, everything of the sort. Along with that, we have the document section here. So any company-wide documents that you want to be distributed for jobs to come. So again, this is going to be the company-wide level to actually creating these templates. When we get into the job level, you'll see that you have job-specific documents as well. You're able to store any documents within BuilderGM that you, again, would be emailing back and forth between employees, trades, whatever it may be. The fourth level of the system here is going to be our client questionnaire. This is really built out to ease communication between you and your client. So again, you can have the best set of plans out there, but still there's going to be questions that are outstanding. So this is designed, again, to be sending out those questions, reducing the phone calls back and forth, reducing time in the office and time spent on selections. You have all of that information tracked in one place, whether they are answering it at home in their pajamas, relaxing while they do it. You have all of that tracked in one place. You have it documented. That way, 6 months down the road, when it comes time for painting, you're able to access that information and reduce a lot of that amnesia. All right. Now that we've gone through templates here, I'm going to switch back over to my job manager. Like I said, I think the best use of our time here is going to walk through actually what it looks like to add a job. I'll come here to add a job. For today's purposes, I'm just going to go ahead and use an existing customer just to move us along a little quicker. I'll hit continue. My job name here. I will go ahead and use the same address as this customer. Proposed start date here, this is going to be the start of the planning and design process. Let's say I know that this is going to be a 4-month project here. I'll go ahead and populate that. This will be a 4-bedroom, 5-bathroom, ranch style home. All right, we'll go ahead and hit continue. Now, depending on your contract type, we do have the ability to address both cost plus and fixed bid contracts. In addition to that, you are able to define those percentages by class. So depending on how granular you want to get with it, we are definitely able to accommodate. Let's just say for today, it's going to be about a 15% markup. We'll do 10% overhead here. Let's hit continue. And this is where the templates are going to be pulling in. So as you can see, we have the full list of all the templates I can choose from here. I'm either able to create a job from an existing template or an existing job. So an example I like to give is, of course, we work with both remodelers, custom builders, as well as spec builders. So depending on the type of homes that you're building, if they are similar to one another or based on model homes, you're able to copy all of that previous cost item data over. So it's pulling in all of the information that it takes to build out a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. You're able, again, to pull all of that plan information over. Your schedule will already be built out, and you'll have all of that information to be able to send to your clients within minutes. So really reduces a lot of the upfront time to get that estimate out. Now for today's purpose, we'll just go with a blank template so you can see it from start to finish. I'll choose my residential master here and hit OK. All right, so just that quickly, we have our job created. And as you can see, the template we were just looking at, everything again from our initial planning and design all the way through my final inspection has populated over. So as soon as I dive into any one of these categories, this is what's going to bring me to the subcategory level. If I click within architect here, this is going to drill down to the cost item level. So again, very quick to go through here, add these cost items to my estimate. As soon as I pre-populate my finished area square footage, any other cost items associated with that parameter are going to be updated with that quantity. So everything associated with finished area square footage in this system, in this job, is going to pre-populate with that quantity, and I'll never have to enter that number again. Now, as we can see, this not only is building out my estimated cost, but it's also building out my client estimate. In addition to that, we are huge on documentation here at Hyphen, and especially within BuilderGM. Anywhere you see these little orange folders, you're able to add photos, documents, plans, wherever is needed. So whether you want your employees to be able to access it, your trades when they're logging in, they're able to see all of the information you choose to give them access to. And again, cuts down on a lot of that coordination outside of the system. In addition to that, as we mentioned, BuilderGM is incredibly intuitive. So as soon as I turn on any one of these cost items, there are tasks behind the scenes that are building out my schedule on my behalf. So as soon as I turn on that I know I'm going to need an architect for this project, oops, sorry about that, guys. Let me return here. All right, so as soon as I turn on architect here and I know I'm going to need that for my project, all of these tasks are being added to my schedule without me lifting a finger. So it's building out a Gantt chart just based on the cost items that I know I'm going to need to complete this job. In addition to that, as we mentioned, the third level of the system here is going to be the client questionnaire. So in accordance with where I am in the build process, I'm able to send out all of this information to my clients in real time. They're able to log in on their own time, be able to fill this out, take their time in doing so, add pictures, documentations, and it's kept all in one spot. All right, I'll give you one more example just so we have it down here. Okay, so I came down to framing. If I click within framing labor, let's say I know I'm going to need a framing subcontractor for this project. My quantity's already been pre-populated, so it's adding that to my initial estimate. And I also have my cost per square footage being broken down as well. Now, along with adding framing, let's say I know I'm going to need lumber, I know I'm going to need hardware for this project. Any tasks associated with framing have now been added to my schedule as well. So if I come down here, we can see without me even lifting a finger, everything associated with framing is building out on the back end. So, I mean, originally what would take me, a few hours, a few days to be able to get this estimate out, I can have this out within an hour and I already have my schedule pre-populated on the background as well. Now we do realize, obviously, with construction, there are a ton of changes that come. So you're able to add delays, extend duration, shift your schedule around as you need to, but it's cutting down on a ton of that work on the front end just to be able to spell out how long this is going to take and, of course, how much it's going to cost. All right, so I'm going to switch over to a more completed job just to give you a visual of that. As you can see, everything that's been checked for here has already been scoped for this project. So I have a very good initial estimate. I know how much this is going to be costing my client. I also know how much this is going to be costing per square foot. If I come down here to my company report, I can see a cost breakdown internally of what my estimated billable costs are going to be for every single category. I know what my markup is, my overhead associated with that. I also have it broken down into my client estimate. Now, I am able to immediately be able to export that to Excel as well as a print PDF version. And I'll show you that over here on the customer side. So this being a fixed bid project, once I come to the customer side, as you can see, they have that same visibility where, again, they know everything that's going into their dream home. They know where these costs are going. They have their initial estimate, they have their cost per square footage, but you're shielding them from that information. So you're shielding them from your overhead information, your markup information, whatever financial information that you want to be kept private, they don't need to access that unless you want them to be able to. In addition to that, if I click up here to my print PDF, this again is giving me that very professional image. I have my own logo built out at the top here. Of course, as a growing company, having your branding out there is incredibly important to keep that professional image. lets your client feel involved in the build process, but is reducing a lot of that communication back and forth and just giving them a much better client experience. All right, so now that I know now that I know how much this is going to be costing and how long it's going to be taking, I need to know who actually is going to be able to do the work. Now, one really unique thing about this system is, again, that all of that information that I'm setting in my initial estimate is going to be able to be pushed on through not only to my vendor bids, but also to actually creating the purchase orders within the system. If I come up here to actually add a bid request, you can see I sent a few out already, but just for example's sake, I'll come up here to add a bid request. Once I click add cost items here, I'm able to scroll through and find exactly what I want to be bidding out on. Let's say, for example, I'm going to be bidding out on electrical. I'll go ahead and select that cost item. I can pick and choose what I want to be included with this bid, whether I want to be bidding out on all of these cost items or maybe just labor for this one. This is going to be sent to my trade via email. So I'll just say, have this back to me ASAP. Attach any necessary documents. All right, I can adjust my bid response due date. Let's say I would need this back by next Monday. Any notes that I want to be tracking internally, so anything, again, I don't want to be sent out to my trades, I'm able to notate here. And depending on how involved your client is in the build process, maybe this is an allowance item that you're bidding out on. Maybe it's granite, countertops, let's say it's cabinetry, and you want their involvement here. You do have the ability to require client approval. Now, as soon as I hit apply changes here, any plans that I have associated with this project are going to pre-populate and be sent over with each and every bid that I'm sending out. So I won't be having to reattach those plans, any specifications. They're all going to pre-populate over and be sent to my trades along with this. I'll hit return here. And if I come in to hit send, any trades associated with electrical work in my system are automatically going to be pulled. So it's just as easy as hitting select all here. And as soon as I hit send, just that easily, 3 invitations were sent out. So again, no text messages, no emails back and forth. They don't know all of the individuals that you sent it out to, but you're able to really reduce that time spent in actually creating your bids and sending them out. Now on the back end, I've already sent out quite a few bids here, as you can see. For example purposes, I do want to show you what it looks like to actually go in and accept one of those bids. So I'll click in here to framing. I can see that I sent out about 8 bids, it looks like. Looks like I got 1 back. We can always rely on Freddie here. So I see that that bid came back. I can see when the invitation date was, a phone number associated with that, what the contact method was. Now I can see what the bid amount was for and that it's pending builder selection. So I'll go ahead and click into that. Any notes that came in from the vendor are going to populate here, as well as any documents that they've attached. You can send notes back and forth on a cost item basis right here if I want to be populating anything there. We can see what the rate amount was for, as well as the bid amount. As soon as I come through here and actually accept this bid, because BuilderGM is smart enough to know, okay, based on the cost items that have been added to my estimate, again, different tasks were added to my schedule automatically. So as soon as I come through here and actually accept this bid, the system's smart enough to know, okay, because it's based on these 2 cost items, my material and my labor associated with framing, someone's going to need to be on site to actually do that work. So as soon as I come through and accept this, Freddie Framer is now going to be assigned to all of these tasks associated with framing. I'll go ahead and hit continue. So he's not only going to be sent that task list, so he knows when he's supposed to be on site, what tasks he's assigned to that day, but he also has the contractual agreement in his hands. So he knows he's locked in, again, reduces a lot of that fund control on your behalf and automates the entire process. So I'll hit accept bid. I'll go ahead and send that message. If I come down to my expenses now, I'll click into purchase orders. I can see that that purchase order has now been created in my system. Now, let's say maybe there are certain trades that you work with pretty consistently and you aren't bidding out for. You do have the ability to either create a purchase order, again, from either accepting that bid or from a manual purchase order creation. And quite honestly, it is just as easy to go through and actually manually create the purchase order. I'll click into one just for an example. So this one's for Ward Windows. Let's say this is a trade that I have worked with for a long, long time. I know he's a reliable guy. He got back to me with his pricing. Maybe he's not the most tech savvy guy, didn't want to log into his email, completely fine. All of this information pulled straight from my estimate. So I can go through, I can select those line items associated with this trade. All of that will pre-populate over. We can see that he's had some labor shortages pretty recently, so his prices increased a little bit here. So those rates have reflected it. Now again, because these cost items are tied to task items, as soon as I inserted those line items for this purchase order, all of these tasks then have been assigned to Ward Windows behind the scenes. In addition to that, I am able to still print this purchase order. I can still send it to him via email as well, and gives him access to the information he needs when he needs it. I'll hit return here. All right. So for example purposes, let's just say it's been a few weeks. Freddie Framer's completed about half of this work. He gets back to me with his first invoice. I'll come down here to my bills. We'll go through and hit enter bill. It is just as easy as coming through here. I'll select the vendor that I'm billing out for. Let's say it's Freddie. I'll go ahead and type that in. Now the system is smart enough to pull that information through so we can see what the initial purchase order amount was for, what the balance is on that purchase order as well. So I'll hit use this PO. Let's say that this was for 16 2x4x8s, or any notes that you want to be tracking here. Let's say for this example, I'm only going to be billing out for half of this. We'll change this to 10,000, change this one to 1. Again, any documents I want to be including, whether it's receipts, different invoices that he sent me, I can attach that at the bottom here. I'll go ahead and hit apply changes. And as soon as I come through here to actually approve that amount, this lets the system know that all of this information is ready to be sent over to QuickBooks. So BuilderGM has one of the strongest integrations that you'll find with QuickBooks, and the information flows both ways. So anything you're entering in on the BuilderGM side, all of that will populate over to QuickBooks with no duplicate data entry on that side. Now, we do work with some builders that are very set in their ways and they're using QuickBooks for pretty much everything right now. And of course, there's a ton of value in getting on a system that gives you that project management visibility from the get-go. But again, if you are stuck in your ways and you're entering things in on the QuickBooks side of things, completely fine. All of that information that you're entering in on the QuickBooks side will flow back over to BuilderGM as well. So you have the information you need when you need it, and it's transparent on both sides. So I'll go ahead and click final approval. That way at the end of the week, end of the month, again, Freddie's going to be able to be paid out to. I'll go ahead and hit close. That way, whenever we do log into QuickBooks, this information will be pulled on through. All I'll have to do is go in and cut the check. So I'll go ahead and hit return here. We can see now that payment has been fully approved. That's ready to be sent to QuickBooks. But let's say the end of the month does come and I need to be tying all of these bills to a certain draw. I'll come here to income, I'll go down to draws. I can see any expenses that have been added to this draw so far, the markup and overhead associated with that, and what the draw total has come to. If I click details here, this gives me a much more detailed view, breaking down the overhead, breaking down the markup. Again, gives me the visibility to know what sort of cash flow I have coming in on this project. If I hit include builder expenses here, let's say it's the end of the month and I'm tying all of these bills to this draw now, just as easy as coming through here, hitting select all. All of these have been selected, and it's just that quick, again, to have this tracked all in one place with all of the documents I need included. Again, any adjustments we need to be making, draw payments or documents we need to be keeping track of, we're able to do so here. But one really neat thing, again, is that we have that print PDF view. So associated with each job, not only do we have, again, our branding here at the top, you love to see it, but we also have that contact information associated, again, with this specific builder, as well as the clients that you're working with. We have it spelled out for our builder expenses, overhead, markup, what our draw total is coming to. But every single bill included in that draw, we have broken down here. Very, very cool visual. All right. Oh, I forgot to show you guys. I'm going to come back down to my schedule. Now, remembering that this is the job that I have already scoped fully for, in doing so, it's built out my entire schedule on my behalf. Again, didn't have to lift a finger for any of this information to flow through and actually be building out my schedule to keep me on track. Now, just the upfront work that we did and actually, again, building out our estimates, sending out and receiving those vendor bids back. We've created a few purchase orders in the system, both from accepting that vendor bid, but also just working with the trades we always have. Just in entering in that information, all of it has flowed through from my initial estimate, and it's pulled up some really, really cool reports here. So I came down to my budget actuals, and then I came down to my category summary here. You can see again, every single cost item broken out for this specific category. So we have everything from our lot all the way through our final cleanup. We can see what our initial estimated costs were, again, what the actual expenses that came in for those different categories. What percentage of my budget's actually been committed here? Ooh, we can see we went a little bit over on lot leveling, it looks like, as well as flooring. So entering in that information on the estimate and just letting it flow through, making adjustments where it's needed, not entering in any duplicate data entry, we're able to see what the financial health of this particular project is. So we know, okay, I went a little bit over on lot leveling here. What led to that? I'm able to click into that purchase order. I know which vendor was associated. I know what the order amount was for. I'm able to access that information super quickly. I can see, okay, wasn't a mistake. His pricing did increase. Zach spoke with him over the phone, so we're able, again, to keep control of the flow of information here and know that we have the tools and the resources we need to make good business decisions based on that. So I'll hit return. We will go back to my category summary here. And again, we can see, okay, because we've gone a little bit over here and over here as well, we just know that we have a few more things to bid out on here. We want to make sure we do a really, really good job of it to, again, get our project back on track. All right, any questions you guys have, feel free to be putting them in the chat here. All righty, beyond that, again, the financial reporting of this system is absolutely incredible. If I come down to my expenses here, you're able to break out this information by vendor. So again, keeping track of all of that across excavation, framing, your HVAC team, you're able to see for each vendor any purchase orders that are outstanding, what the expense total is for, any amounts that have been approved for payment, as well as expenses that have already been paid out and not paid out. So if Ward Windows gets back to me and says, hey, I completed the work, I expected to be paid last week, I'm able to click in here. I can see again what the PO amount was for, any notes associated with it, what amount has been invoiced for, and it looks like he's right. It looks like I haven't paid him yet. But if I didn't have the reporting tools of BuilderGM in my hands, I would be sifting and sifting and sifting through QuickBooks, through emails to be able to find this information and make sure that this wasn't coming straight out of my pocket. Now I know, again, this is ready to be paid out for. He's absolutely right, and I can send that information over to QuickBooks. Now, in addition to that, BuilderGM does a fantastic job of building out different schedule reports. So in addition to our Foreman Weekly report here, this is going to be spelling out, again, that field management piece where we can see, okay, over the next week, we have 6 tasks that are coming up. We know when the when the scheduled start date, scheduled end date is expected to be, as well as what work has already been started and completed. We know which internal employees as well as trades are expected to be on site that day, as well as their contact information. So everything I need to keep track of my team and make sure that this job is flowing smoothly, all in one spot. But in addition to that, one really neat thing that we won't have time to touch on today, but would definitely recommend scheduling a demo to see, is going to be our field management app. So the same visibility that we have here in assigning tasks, in being able to have punch lists of, again, what trades are assigned to that day, what your employees are assigned to that day, they can see all jobs that they're tied to, as well as any tasks that they have due that day. They're able to send you pictures live within the field. And one really neat thing is our job journal. Now you have full access to this on the app as well. Now you're able to type in whether you're looking to communicate this with your internal employees or your clients. You're able to keep track of everything that's gone on site, whether it's walking the lot with the county inspector or maybe framing's going up. You're able to add pictures and documentation wherever you need to, again, to be able to keep track. Ooh, sorry, I can't move this bar here. But again, you're able to add documentation, add pictures, plans, whatever you want to be sending back and forth with your clients, with your vendors, and with your employees to keep all of that information in one spot. Now, of course, very brief overview today. We wanted to give you the real highlights and show you just how easy it is, not only to get started in the system, to be able to create a job within the system, but send that information all the way on through to pull some really, really fantastic financial reports with it. The system, just as Mark said, is fantastic for the communication, the coordination, the control, to be able to manage your projects effectively and make fantastic financial decisions from that. So I'll go ahead. I think I'm going to be passing it back over to Mark here. I can keep my screen up. So again, if any questions you guys have coming through, we're more than happy to address. But Mark, I believe I'm going to be passing it back over to you here to take it away.
Okay, thank you, Mary Grace. That was great. And hopefully in that brief overview, you've already been able to see how intuitive and simple it is, yet how powerful it is.
Mark, you muted yourself.
Okay, sorry. So hopefully in that overview, you've been able to already see how powerful BuilderGM is, how intuitive it is, how simple it is to follow the workflow, and how automated the workflow is. What we just saw is you were able to easily create an estimate, a very accurate and comprehensive estimate with all the scope and specifications necessary. Then that information is just being passed from the estimate with a click of a button to the bidding process, to the income processes, to the expense managing purchase orders and expenses, and managing your budget, all of that, including document management. There's a lot more functionality here that in the interest of time we won't be able to dive into, but what I'd like to do now is have Zach take just a few minutes and explain to you what the implementation process is, what it looks like. And it's really a matter of getting up and running in hours and days, not weeks and months. So within a few hours, you'll be able to be working in the system. Within a few days, you'll feel comfortable and being able to see the benefits. But Zach, give us a little bit of a explanation of how that process works.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, in a nutshell, once a new customer signs up, they're given access to the system immediately to begin familiarizing themselves. At that time, we also provide some supplemental training videos to get them started. Following that, we look to schedule a kickoff call where we go through a general overview of the system with the goal being that they can begin working as soon as the meeting ends. Furthermore, I like to tell our new customers, as Mark mentioned, that during our kickoff call, I'll let them know that we can go as fast or as slow as their business needs. And then following that, we look to spend between 5 or 6 in-depth training sessions to go through user-driven training. During those sessions, the builder shares their screen and we guide them through the intricacies of the system. And then once the builder feels like they're comfortable in the system, we feel like we've ironed out any workflow issues, what we'll do is we'll hold a call to introduce the builder and their team to our Dallas-based long-term support group, where they can reach out for additional help when needed at no additional cost. So yeah, pretty short and simple. We like to get everyone up and running using the system as fast as they need it. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Tyler to go through some of the submitted questions.
Awesome, thanks guys. So we have a few questions in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and read them off to you guys, and whoever can answer, just hop in. So the first question is, when the customer answers the questions on how many bedrooms, baths, etc., will it provide the customer any type of rough estimate automatically or square foot price simply to qualify them?
Mark, I'll let you take that one if you'd like.
Yeah, the initial scoping process that created that client questionnaire creates a range of costs, an initial estimate. And so that information would be available to them, what that initial estimate would be. And then depending on their answers right now, the builder would have to do some additional analysis to determine what the impact of those costs are. And you know, update the estimate and provide the response to the client when they're ready to, you know, give them the results of that.
Next question, how many users can I have on the system?
That's a good question. It's important to us that this is what we said, a tool for communication, collaboration, coordination, control. And we don't want anybody sub-optimizing the value of the system by limiting it to, you know, 1 or 2 seats. So the answer is it's unlimited users. Anybody that's involved in the project that needs access to the information to be a contributor to the project can have user access to the system, including your clients, your vendors, your employees, architects, engineers, designers. We do not limit the number of users. In fact, we encourage, you know, there to be as many users as you possibly can, because it's a tool for communication, coordination.
Right. And along with that, it being cloud-based, you can all access the same information at the same time, regardless of if you're in the office and your team's in the field, you have all of the information at your fingertips. And again, unlimited users, so you all have access to exactly what you need.
Yeah, and that's a good point. There's the ability to access the information in the field as well through a mobile app or through a browser on your phone. So anywhere, anytime. Thank you.
Next question, how much does it cost?
Again, we've tried to make this price it in such a way that it, you know, it's got a great return on investment for you. And we have 3 levels. One, $199 level, $199 a month is a subscription-based pricing for up to 10 active jobs. You can have any number of jobs in estimate status or finished status or on hold, that kind of thing, but 10 active jobs, this is the $199 level. For $299, you go up to the 40 job limit. And if you go beyond that, we have our premier pricing, and that's something we discuss with you depending on, you know, the nature of you and the volume of your business.
Right, and these are active homes in the system at any given time. So just based on the volume that you are actively working at one time, once that job is finished, it's closed out, you can keep that job in the system and be able to access it at any time. But again, as many as you'd like with an estimate, as many finished jobs as you need to be keeping track of. You're only charged on jobs you've broken ground on and are visiting site every day.
Next question, what does it take to get set up?
Zach, why don't you address that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned before, as soon as a customer fills out that information to start their subscription, they will get an email prompting them to log in for the first time. Along with that, we utilize a program called Calendly. Calendly helps us automate some of our scheduling. So we know that you guys are busy, we're busy as well. So that helps us get the group in touch for what we call an implementation kickoff call. During that implementation kickoff call, we look to go through a high-level overview of the main functions of the system, similar to our call today. And then from there, you're in a spot where you can get up and running. And then throughout that process, we're looking to schedule some additional training calls depending on your guys' flexibility and schedule. And then from there, you're off and running.
Next question, how does the integration with QuickBooks work?
I'll take that question. And Mary Grace, if you would just click to the company tab and go down to the QuickBooks sync process. We have a sync setup process here where you identify some information about your QuickBooks file, and then we do some mapping, an initial mapping to allow QuickBooks to get permission for BuilderGM to talk to it and identify the mapping between vendors in BuilderGM and vendors in QuickBooks, between customers and customers in QuickBooks, between, for all of the different elements, the mapping. And that process just takes a few minutes to set that up. And then if you click on sync lists, you can see we can synchronize customers, jobs, vendors, employees to and from QuickBooks. And then we can map your templates. And once we've done all that, we can go into the process of synchronizing transactions, importing and exporting transactions. Go down to the last one, synchronize, importing and exporting your transactions to and from QuickBooks. It's a very simple process. You can run it as often or as, on a monthly basis, a weekly basis, a daily basis, or many times a day. It's pretty simple to do.
Great. Is there a mobile app?
Yes, we do have a mobile app, and it's available in both the Apple and the Play Store. And we're adding a lot of new functionality to the mobile app and continuing to improve not only the mobile app, but the web app on an ongoing basis.
What kind of training is there?
Yeah, kind of as Zach just touched on a few minutes ago here, the training of BuilderGM is incredibly robust. I think Hyphen does a really, really great job just ensuring that if you're going to be clients of ours, we want you to be clients for life and we want you to have a fantastic experience. I always encourage people, especially either if you are new to the software space or you're evaluating other options, really, really get a good feel for the training and support that you're going to have as the duration of the client. Now, one thing, again, that Hyphen does really, really well is ensuring that you have the tools and the resources you need when you need it. So we really try and make training as simple and as easily accessible as possible. But we also want to make sure that you have the one-on-one time you need with our consultants to really be confident in the system. Now, it's very, very intuitive to use, but we want you, again, to have that training and have that support. So it typically is about a 2-week span until you really are very comfortable in the system and are kind of shooing Zach and his team away, saying you got it. But all of those sessions are one-on-one sessions. You have the time and the ability to ask questions to people that are absolute experts in the system.
I think something I'll add there real quick is it is user-driven training, meaning that you as the user, we force you to, in the beginning, feel a little uncomfortable sharing your screen and doing the navigation yourself as we're guiding you through. So you're able to kind of force yourself to get in there, start to learn it, and then as MG said, it becomes pretty second nature.
And last question that we have, Many of my jobs are very similar. Is there a way to expedite the job setup process for repeat jobs?
Yeah, do you actually want me to show you that real quick? This will just take a second here. So the same way, if you see, I just clicked into the job manager here. If I come up to add a job here, same process we went through before where I can just quickly go in, select that customer. Now I'll just skip through here. That way we can get to the good stuff, but I'll just choose my proposed finish date, whatever it may be. Once I hit continue, let me move this out a little bit actually. Once I hit continue here, we'll just skip through markup and overhead for now. The same way that we were able to create a job from a template, we can also do that from an existing job. So this will automate a lot of the job creation process. So if let's say I want to create it from this job here, I'll hit OK. You're able to copy all of your role assignments, your employee task assignments, and your customer settings. So depending on what you want your clients to be able to access and see within the system, you can pull all of that information over. So as soon as I hit continue, once I hit finish here, my whole job has been scoped for. Now again, I can quickly go in and let's say instead of a 3,000 square foot home, this one's going to be a 4,000 square foot home. As soon as I come down to my job parameters here, once I hit enter, any cost items that are going to be affected by that change, so changing the old quantity from 3,000 to now 4,000, we can see that there's been a net change of about $12,000 added to this estimate. So very, very easy to, again, create that job from an existing one and make very quick changes as needed.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. That's all the questions that we have in the chat. There will be a webinar recording that is sent out to everyone who registered, and this will also be available on our website if you need to refer back to it at any point. But otherwise, thank you guys for joining us and hope everyone has a great week.
Yes, thank you all.
Great. Thanks, guys.